my friends sent me this video, and let's just say that um, I'm already subbed to the channel out of pity, so there wasn't a need for me to be told to watch this because I already did. And right off the bat, the issues were quite noticeable. Primarily the interpolation, which is very noticeable. Like, no matter what frame of the video it is, you can notice the awful interpolation. Why there was a need for this, I honestly don't know. I don't think it's like an actual feature that's going to be added. It's BT4. Because I know there is, what is it called? A gecko code, some sorts, for Dolphin, which does actually increase the frame rate without interpolation. Like, it's actually in the game. So here, for example, this looks really dreadful. So aside from that, the other issue is pretty clear. The fact that he has to switch instead of transform. I looked at Vegeta's transformations, and his slots are all occupied, but one of them can't be free. Because the Super Saiyan 1, the Super Saiyan God 1, and Super Saiyan Blue 1, all three of these are used in the story mode, but not Super Saiyan 2, for whatever reason. I could be wrong, since I do have all the logs right here for the story mode scripts, and I made sure to check the ones that I think would rely on Super Saiyan 2. Anyway, like, I checked the Battle of Gods fight that doesn't have Vegeta in it at all. So I thought, the case was cut and dry. Originally, my approach was going to be to have Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta available no matter what, meaning that you could normally transform into him, but this would affect the roster position, and rearranging the roster is kind of painful for modders, so I thought of something a bit more clever, which isn't even entirely my idea. I have to credit my friend Valen for this, because he originally found this out for BT3, but it turns out that this issue is also present in BT4, so by introducing a vulnerability, we can have a transformation that only works in story mode, but not, say, dual mode. Of course, I already did the search myself in memory, because this is what we need to get to first. So let me open, again, I paused the game, because I was playing prior to this, just to test things out. So, for example, right, I could just get in a duel and show why the transformation wouldn't happen if I set the amount to an amount that cannot be reached. So if I set the number of key bars to 10, like so, because here I'm changing the VFX with the transformation, but this is the character ID and this is the cost. So normally, if I charge key, this will not happen. So if I should have my input overlay enabled as proof that it does actually work, as in it will not trigger even if I hold down R3, which is 0 for me, and up. So I'm tapping, I'm holding and tapping. Yeah, it does not work. But the moment I change the amount to something lower, then it does. Unfortunately, I pressed the wrong input. My mistake. I should have pressed R3 plus up. Of course, I can change the transformation slot, but for simplicity, I'm just keeping it at the second one. So let's just repeat the process really quickly. Okay, let me do it again. There we go. So yeah, so there is a transformation camera and voice line. So it makes even more sense to have the transformation in the first place. So let's go to the story mode and carry over the changes there. Yep. I almost chose the wrong saga, my mistake. So yeah, let's get on with it.
All right. There won't be any people or animals around here.
Of course, I have to search first. I have to do the search again, but otherwise it's whatever. So if I go here, D0, 0A, 0B, that's not all of it, because again we have to make changes to the script. So I have to go to the bottom of the script and add the new ID. This, so we search, we got a result, D0, then we go back, scroll up a bit, because this is essentially as demonstrated in the log. Scroll down a bit. There we go. Right here. That is the event. So I just changed its offset to point to the new ID that's loaded. So we can just do that, essentially. But what I prefer instead, to save us some time, is to load the save state. And yeah, you can tell it's from today. D0, and then we search the event, like so. Hopefully I got it right. Let me double check. Okay, the 3 is a B. Okay, fair enough. Okay, we found it. So I change it to 5101, and then I have to go right back, search for this. Because the vulnerability I was originally going to introduce, if I open BT3 really quick, is actually right here. What I was going to do is essentially have the result form ID search set to 0, meaning that everything in this if statement would be triggered somehow. Now, of course, what this essentially does is it gets the transformation ID from the script and it searches if that same ID is present in the file. So it will get the form ID based on the results of the search. So if it doesn't find it, it just moves on to the next form. And once it gets the form ID, it checks if the transformation in general can be performed. I say in general because this isn't used just for story mode. And I wrote these comments right here, just to generalize overall. But otherwise, this isn't really my area of concern. What I'm mainly concerned with is that the exploit I wanted to do originally didn't work. So, my friend Vanan actually suggested the next big thing, which is to set the transformation to have a ridiculously high amount of blast stocks in this case, because he's working on a BT3 project. So what he did is essentially set the cost to something higher. I don't remember the exact amount, but in my case I went for 10. So 10 key bars, and as we saw previously, it did not trigger in-game. But in the story mode, there are no checks, no valid checks, even though we have the cap value function. It does not actually trigger as it should, if that makes sense. It looks logically valid, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't want to work. So, let's just restore these changes, and let's go with the scenario like normal. I'm not gonna play the entire scene, obviously, but even if I win or lose the struggle, the conditions should still be triggered. It's gonna take a bit of time. It should not be instant, but it will happen. It's because of this dialogue that's playing, but it's gonna take its sweet time triggering the transformation. I tested this earlier. It should work. I'm not sure why it's not going through for whatever reason. Right now it's not working, but it did in one of my tests. It actually triggered the transformation. Yeah, it doesn't seem to happen. Let's, just so we're sure, let me damage him enough. There we go. Yep, so it very much works. This way, I made Vegeta transform without actually having the ability to do so, because yet again, I'll go in training mode and demonstrate why it does not work. And the reason being that the game performs valid checks in duel mode, training mode, but not in story mode. And it has to do with how it forces the amount of ki. Now, what I would have done is have it so that the transformation always triggers without actually having to um, perform valid checks on the matter. If that makes sense. Just have it trigger without costing anything. Which sounds overpowered, sounds flawed, but it successfully prevents this issue. It will not give you more stocks than you have, it will not give you more ki than you have. It just does the transformation. That's it. So, yet again, let's search in memory. Because it's a different location now. Let's do this again. 0B, 0A, 0B. It does not matter what the amount is. It could even be 6 or 7 or 8. Um, no concern really. So again, input overlay shows that I'm actually holding, well right now I'm tapping, I'm holding down up. Yeah, it does not work. It does not work. Which is a shame, but that is the point. Because the moment I set the cost to what it originally was, it works. So that is pretty much it. We have a transformation that can only be triggered in story mode, and its only compromise is that um, it actually has to take over a transformation for this. Like, my idea again was to have the transformation only be present in the script, so I would have the game force you to transform into any character of choice without the parameters specifying so. Because, for context, I explained this in my repository, but essentially, if we go right here, I even made sure to visualize this. It takes a bit of scrolling, but essentially, we can see that the parameters have been split up. So all the costumes share the exact same amount of parameters and the exact parameters at hand. Of course, the original idea prior to this optimization would have been to just have another costume with its own set of parameters just for the story mode. And that would have worked too, but this is BT4 we're talking about. So, yeah. I think this fix I proposed should do the trick. And I'm only making a video on this. Um, really for the sake of it, honestly. Um, I already informed Metal on the matter before recording this. So this video is just to rub the salt on the wound, I guess. That's the best way to put it. So, yeah, thanks for watching.